Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I know there's a lot of drama going on. I don't really have any opinions on it. So I'm going to ignore it. It is amazing, though, the stark contrast between the political videos that Desert Sentinel made versus the political videos that James Freeman has made. It seems that one has a basic grasp of how our Republican form of government works, and the other one can only seem to using childish metaphors. Votes matter. If votes didn't matter, politicians wouldn't go out and stump. They wouldn't campaign. I know people think that money buys votes, and it doesn't. Money buys speech, and speech tends to get votes. You get your name out in front of enough people, you get the name recognition, and people are going to be more likely to vote for you because they see your name on the ballot, at the ballot box, and a lot of voters aren't very educated on what's going on, so they just see the name, like, I know this person, I'm going to check this person's box. Nope. There are also a lot of people who just vote straight party line, because don't chase the skunk. Don't chase the skunk. Don't chase the skunk. There's a lot of people who vote straight party lines. And there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to change that. There are instances, there are places where your vote probably isn't going to matter one bit. Like in a presidential election, if you're in a solidly red or solidly blue state, i.e. the state is going to overwhelmingly vote for that particular party all the time, every time, then your vote may well be wasted. Either as part of the overwhelming victory or the crushing defeat. But in local politics, don't chase the skunk. There's another skunk over there. See the old bastard running across the street? Oh, fucking skunks. Turn the corner, skunk! Oh, Jesus. Oh, now he's crossing the street this way, because... Oh, Christ. Alright, so I guess I'm going to cross the street here. No, we're not chasing the skunk. On a local level, politics and votes are... Your vote is very, very influential. Local elections, there may be... I guess depending on the size of your particular election, I've seen turnouts where votes where 16 to 20 more votes on one side or the other would change it. And if you had gotten out 16 to 20 of your friends, maybe you would have swung the election. There are reasons why political parties have get out the vote campaigns. There's a reason why politicians spend so much money to advertise themselves, to get out there and shake hands. In Freeman's video, Lion Bob Metzger, I think is what Freeman called him. I did a very quick Google search, and it appears that guy is a judge. I didn't watch Freeman's whole video because there's only so much stupid I could stand, and if there is no threat of taser, then it certainly loses its luster for me. Because unlike Freeman, I actually understand the political system and how it works, or at least I understand it considerably better than he does. Don't scrape up their yard. So there's a reason why that guy was out there enduring the abuses of people like Freeman. And here's the thing, if you don't like the candidates, if you don't want to vote for any of them, what stopped you from becoming a candidate there? Now, there may be qualifications that you don't meet to become a judge. I get that. But if there are no qualifications, then or if there are no qualifications you don't meet, then what excuse do you have for not running for that position? Because you obviously represent your opinions best. And if you want your opinions best represented in this representative form of government, then what's your excuse? I know Freeman likes to say, well, gee, John, your opinion is people should just vote harder. And again, that's a gross misrepresentation of what reality is. It's not you voting harder. You can only vote once. It's about you getting out and voting in the first place. A lot of people don't vote. There's a reason why the senior citizen block of voters is a much more lucrative block of voters. There's a reason why politicians pander to them more than they do to young adults. It's because someone in their 60s is significantly more likely to vote than someone in their 20s. So I'm not entirely sure why Freeman's nihilist worldview is appealing to people as opposed to Desert Sentinels. Desert Sentinel might swing that election for the guy he's stumping for. Freeman isn't going to change anything because there's still going to be elections. There's still going to be representatives elected, or as he likes to call them, masters. I don't pay any attention to what the masters do. I don't know who the masters are. It's because you're stupid. You want to know. I mean, people don't think they want to know. They don't think they care. There are ramifications for who gets elected, and it's typically long term. You don't usually see the ramifications for all these decisions that are made in the short amount of time that person is in office. Usually it takes years to come to light to see what harm was done. But the people who don't vote because they don't think that their vote matters, or they don't think that it matters who gets elected, they're just being silly and ignorant and defeatist. The person who gets elected is going to have a huge impact in whatever field they're in. City, county, state, federal. They're going to have an impact. They're going to have a big impact. You might only think it's a small impact, and it might only be a small impact. But it's the whole, butterfly fart in one part of the world that turns into a monsoon in another. These little incremental changes can turn into big differences. So I just want to try to counterbalance some of what Freeman is saying. I don't care who you vote for, but if you think your vote doesn't matter, you're wrong. If Freeman tells you your vote doesn't matter, you're being lied to. At least in California, I don't know about in other states. I'm assuming other states will do something similar. They'll send out a sample ballot and some sort of literature that has all the issues on. If they don't do that, well, you found this video. That means you could use the internet, so I'm sure you could look it up. On the local level, if you call that candidate, I bet you'd be able to talk to him, or at least talk to someone who's knowledgeable enough that if you're unclear on what their positions are, you could probably ask them, And imagine across the country, 1,000 citizen journalists sit down and do what Desert Sentinel did in his district. Sit down and actually talk to the person who's running to be your representative. Imagine that. There's a saying in politics that all politics is local. Like most sayings, it's not always true. But like most sayings, there's a kernel of truth in it. And a little local activism can change things. Anyway, that's my ramble. I hope you found it encouraging. I really would like to see more people vote. The midterm elections tend to have very low turnouts. Your votes will matter more in a midterm election than they would in a election that cycles with the presidential election. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.